FF14, as an MMO with a decade-plus long life cycle, has a very storied history. Not just in the hundreds of hours long main story, nor in the slew of high-end battles that have tested its most committed players to their very limitations, but within the community that plays it, the people. There have been silly, intriguing, and downright unbelievable tales woven by the players, with the content, the developers, and of course with themselves. Today is one of those stories. This is the story of how yet another new expansion release would be plagued with a hilarious unintentional bug that would leave content utterly broken, causing an entire daily roulette to, for a period, become a time-wasting game of Russian roulette. How one of the game's alliance raids became one of the tightest DPS checks that many had ever experienced, and how in the midst of it all some intrepid duty finder groups would tackle its unintentional challenge and emerge victorious. This is the story of Syrcus Tower Savage. Before we hop into the story, if you enjoy deep dives into FF14's past and community, please do consider subscribing. It means a lot to me. So, Dawntrail was somewhat of a pivotal new start for Square Enix's premier MMO. The beginning of a brand new story arc after over a decade of the Hydaelyn and Zodiac saga, which had been fervently received with rave reviews from regular players and new fans alike. After such an iconic era, many shared the opinion that the next story arc would take on a very different cadence as it found its feet and crept tentatively towards whatever would be the next big thing. And a lot waited in hope that despite that, Dawntrail would be able to make a big impact in a positive way and lay that groundwork for the future of the game's second decade. With such a huge audience, larger than ever before in the wake of Shadowbringer and Endwalker's successes, the pressure was greater than ever to get it right. This, of course, meant in regards to server stability and quality assurance as well. Stormblood especially had been an expansion rampant with problems born of both the immense server load and some poorly thought out design decisions which had resulted in widespread errors, disconnections, and some players running into bugs that made their characters unplayable until a fix came in a week later. With so many eyes on FF14, this couldn't happen again. The expansion releases on June 28th to early access, with the full public release set to come 4 days later on July 2nd, and players finally get their chance to witness this new generation of their favourite MMO. As they got stuck in, experiencing the new story quests and duties and unlocking the new jobs Viper and Pictomancer, many hopped into their daily roulettes in order to snag some easy progress on their leveling journey. It was there that the problems began. You see, Alliance Raid Roulette is usually fairly high value. It gives a lot of experience points and is low effort, and as a result would get a lot of traffic on the day of a new expansion. Usually this is no problem, but here, one of the fastest and most efficient possible pops, Syrcus Tower, was afflicted by a game-breaking bug that Square Enix devs had missed, and players would not be witness to until they were deep into the raid itself. During the Amon fight, the boss right before the finale, something strange had happened. The fight's mechanics had stopped triggering correctly, and because of the way that they interacted with one another, this would have terrible knock-on effects. During the encounter, periodically players would be frozen and placed inside ice jails. These jails would spawn blocks of ice around them that the raid could then hide behind to defend them from a one-shot kill mechanic, Curtain Call, that had happened in the tail end of the conflict. Since Dawntrail released, this had changed. Players would still be frozen in place, but ice jails wouldn't spawn around them. This meant that Curtain Call would force a raid wipe in almost every circumstance. There were a couple of other accompanying bits of weirdness too, like the frogs that spawned which spat fire. They were supposed to break the ice and let players move again, and yet they were utterly unable to. This led to hundreds of vote disbands across data centers of all regions, as well as mounting player frustrations on social media platforms and in-game. This bug completely wasted 10 to 15 minutes of time bare minimum for the 24 players that got into the duty, and there was no controlling whether they got Syrcus Tower or something that could result in success. A post on Reddit went quickly viral, and in short order the affair was also covered extensively on gaming news sites. Square Enix would respond quickly on social media on June 28th, just a few hours into the debacle, letting players know that they were aware of the issue and would be investigating. But in light of that, there were some that weren't happy to sit down and wait. They saw a challenge to overcome, a win to be had. There were two ways to successfully get through and defeat Amon regardless. The first was to pass what had become an unintended DPS check. Just kill him before the curtain call cast ends, and then there's no chance for the wipe state to manifest. This wasn't quite as simple as you'd think, though. The DPS check wasn't overwhelming by any means, and a group of competent players executing their standard rotations decently would without a doubt persevere. But in a roulette, that was not an expectation that could be relied on by any means, and it's fair to say it definitely wasn't the norm. The second solution was, funnily enough, the one that I also utilised when I got Syrcus Tower as my Alliance raid on patch day, only to discover the bug and find that my party didn't have the damage to make it through. In these cases, a raised cheese from a healer is the play that has the chance of bearing fruit. But raised cheesing Amon is quite difficult to do for an unexpected reason. Nothing deals enough damage to kill you unless you get lucky enough to draw the ire of the snakes and frogs both for an extended period of time. So you have to stack the healers up with the tanks, take the auto attack cleaves, and try to ensure that they soak as many additional hits as possible. When they die, leave them on the floor until closer to the curtain call cast, so that the raise timer doesn't run out. Then they need to time the raise well, have it go off as the raid dies but before the wipe goes in, and quickly heal themselves, followed by raising some allies before the boss and the ads auto them to death. If they do all of that successfully, they win. Reports of clears came in all across the internet. People were posting YouTube videos of their wins and dubbing it Syrcus Tower Savage, and some were even calling for it to be added to the game permanently as an optional difficulty. Luckily, despite this blunder on Square Enix's part, their response was fast and decisive. Within 24 hours, the bug had been fully patched, and it would never be seen again. That marked the end of a short, yet strange little bug that had affected a large number of players, all at once on one of the largest days for FF14 in recent memory. I suppose it's lucky that all of this occurred in patch 7.0. Had it instead all gone down even one singular patch earlier, the issue would have been drastically exacerbated. In patch 6.5, a change to the game took place that required players to queue for Alliance raids with specific item levels befitting their job level. This was intended to ensure a more equal spread of eventual alliances that could pop, and to prevent people from gaming the system as they had done so for so many years in the past. What they used to do is unequip their gear to forcibly lower their item level, and in doing so they would limit the pool of duties that could pop up to just the fast and efficient A Realm Reborn showings. Had this still not been fixed, the number of users running into the Syrcus Tower bug would have astronomically increased, and the proportion of this problem would have bloated alongside. As an aside, I don't usually like to self-promote too much, but I do just want to mention that I have a second YouTube channel where I make videos about games other than FF14. I just released an hour and 15 video about my first experiences in Guild Wars 2. If you're looking for something to put on in the background, or you want to see more videos from me, please do check it out. I'd really appreciate the support, and I'd love to keep on doing it. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check out the video as well as the channel if you so wish. This is a slightly more recent debacle compared to the other two that I've covered in the past, and as a result I imagine many more have their own personal experiences with what happened. So I do hope you'll share your stories with me in the comments section, and if you have a slice of FF14 history that you'd love to see covered in the future, that's the place to leave that as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. I have a Patreon, you don't need to support it, but if you do, it'll allow me to keep uploading here more regularly. This video was available early to patrons, as well as pre-release excerpts and updates that go up there regularly, and there's some exclusive content, and of course, you'll be included in the credits of future videos. The people on screen now are the reason I was able to make this one, and I'm greatly appreciative. There's no pressure though, and of course, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.